Light breaks, water through fingers. Your breath still catches in your chest, air cold and smothering. Winter's grip lingers with that last dense pile of icy snow by the end of the driveway, weeping away to nothing in a suddenly strong sun. Spring suffers a terrible amnesia. All of fall's lessons have vanished with the red leaves, now just brown muck beneath your feet, whispers against the tall locusts and white fences, picked by the plaintive scratchings of chickens on a rocky hillside. As the ground thaws, worlds are washed away in cold rain. The flood unearths so much. Forgotten landmarks, small tokens you carelessly left out, the bright spring flowers, silky purples and whites against mildewing grass. From this, we will pull bright green baby weeds, not mentioning all the blank spaces where a bulb should have been, spaces where something should have broken up and into the open air. We mark the stillnesses and silences for later plantings. All things are promised in the steam rising from the curly forehead of a calf, fresh and bright, a drop of honey as March roars around us. The straw is damp and warm, the calf already bouncing and charging, oblivious to the difficulties that brought her out in such a storm. Even though the air still holds a chill, the greenhouse is warm and damp, something internal and secluded on the edge of an exposed road. Lined up on the wooden frame are relics of animals that have been, small tails, a wing, iridescent feathers, and the skull with spiraling horns watching over the fermenting earth. Nothing red and runny comes from this ground. The mother hunches with all of her being, suddenly tiny and weak. The straw is damp, cold, just the breath of an old and drafty building. She bleats and contracts, a fully physical wink. The thing emerging from her is at once grotesque and joyful, a helpless, drenched mass that lies slick on the bedding. A bag follows the small creature, maroon and blue, heavily musky, heavily soft. Heavy, it falls from the mother's body. I cover it with straw, but the scent remains. I have nothing to prepare myself for that first time. I read the books, I watched the lectures, stared at the swollen bellies for months, but in that first horrifying moment, everything leaves my mind. I am frozen to the concrete, waiting for that decisive time when I will know this has turned out all right. But it never comes. I hold my hands to my neck as 4 delicate toes find their way out, followed by a nose and eyes, the mid-body, tail, and so much straining. We 3 are tired and I want to cry, perhaps from the relief of still finding this event unspeakable, perhaps from finding this event unspeakably familiar. In February, I begin to ready myself for the coming flood of births. After a day of straddling sheep, bent over, trimming clumpy wool and cloven hooves, my back is pinched tight. My hands are pink and raw from holding wool. I have blisters from hoof trimmers almost too big for me to handle properly. In the sickening yellow light of my bathroom, I pinch at my first finely forming wrinkles. I think God, the woman, speaks in the quiet din of animals eating, chewing and digesting, their noise a soft rumble against concrete and pine trees in the hour after sunrise. Hers is a presence both soft and hard, skin and bone, decomposition, and the fact that all things will return to us in the end, be it kindness or sheep bones. She keeps spring from feeling like a far-off hope, and I smell her perfume while unrolling a bale of hay, soft and pale. Her scent drifts around me, fresh mint, honey, lemon verbena, cut grass. But it is still snowy March, and the wind whistles through cracks in the windows. Snow covers growing ruts in the fresh mud. She will uncoil like spun wool, like a bouncing lamb, like new grass, covering over winter's wasteland, the washed-out ruts, exposed gravel, bare patches in the garden. Even the compost pile, that dark chasm at the heart of any farm, will burst and bloom with all the seeds we forgot, all the life we covered over to sweat down to nothing as the year begins. Within 2 weeks, I will welcome the first spring babes into the barn. We will. And this year, I am ready to face the terror of unspeakably familiar events, the ones that are warm, damp, and heaving, terrifying and exhilarating. I will not stand frozen, waiting for the relief that everything turned out all right. I know that relief will never come. But amnesia will set in as a young lamb stands big-eyed and orange-tinged under a heat lamp. God, the woman, whispers to me as water splashes over the side of a bucket and washes against my snowy feet. She mixes a paste of wood shavings and salted sand, honest colors that flow into ever-widening cracks in the floor. She walks, calm, light, through the open barn door.